So tonight it's just very simple. This charge, just be mindful. Be mindful God has enlisted you. Be mindful that God will equip you. Be mindful that God will enable you. Now could I just close by making two simple statements, which have been a blessing in my ministry and a guide in ministry. And these words are borrowed. These are words that I heard from Johnny Hart at one of his conferences. The advice that he gave to pastors. Number one, stay close. That's your walk with God. Number two, stay clean. Stay close, stay clean. Mr. Mills, if you would come and lead us in our next hymn.
Hymn number 447.
When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what His glory He sheds on our way. Then as true His good will, He abides with us here, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Not a burden we bear, not a sorrow we share, but a joy that richly repay. Not a grief or a loss, not a frown or a cross, but a blessing we trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. But we never can prove the delights of His love until all on the altar we lay. For the favor He shows and the joy He bestows are for them who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Then in fellowship sweet, we will sing at His feet, or will walk by His side in the way. What He says we will do, where He sends we will go. Never fear, only trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey.
A great privilege to welcome one of EBC's investments, Brother John Egbert. He's going to come and bring our charge to the church. Brother John.
Good evening. Glad to be back with you. Some of you know me, some of you do not. My name is John Egbert, and I was able and had the opportunity to serve here for a little while. First of all, I want to thank you as a congregation for the investment that Brother Todd was just talking about into my life. I know that As I was going through seminary, you learn a lot, but man, whenever you can really be a part of a congregation who loves you and wants to help you in what God has called you to, it's a great find. And so I do thank you for that. Brother Todd, also thank you. There's many things that you have done for me that I can never repay. So I thank you for that. Like he just said with Johnny Hunt, there was two things that Johnny said. It was to stay close and stay clean. Well, another great preacher, Todd Bowen, once told me two things, and here's what he said. He said, don't do anything stupid or heretical, and you're going to be fine. And I said, okay. But he really said that. But I do count it a great privilege and an honor to be able to speak to you tonight, a church that is close to my heart, and I thank you for this opportunity. I want to let you know just a little bit about how I know Brother Robert. As he came, we met him at revival meetings. As we began through that, the opportunity to dunk that joker underwater. It was the first time I'd ever baptized anyone in my life. And so I knew if me and Brother Robert were going to survive this baptism, we're going to make it anything that God's called us to do, because I was afraid. I had the opportunity to baptize, which was a great joy and a great privilege. And Brother Robert, I thank you for allowing me to have a part of your life in that. I also was able to watch you grow in Christ while we served here at Escatawpa, and also you become a great friend. So I thank you for this opportunity. I've also seen him serve on mission trips to New York City and how he worked with children and adults there. I've seen him serve in everything, media here at Escatawpa Baptist Church. And when I came to visit him, I've seen him fill in where needed. When a place to serve opened up here, I've watched him share his testimony in many different places to many different people. I've had Brother Robert come speak at my church about the Seafarers ministry that he's been a part of for so long. I've seen him as he drove and ministered to the workers who arrived by boat for the Seafarers ministry. And to the best of my knowledge, Brother Adrian, he obeyed every traffic law that there was. Good. I've seen Brother Robert serve in a lot of capacities. Thank you for being a friend. And then there's also something that I believe about his future. I believe, along with all of the other members of our council, and you as a church, that it has been called to serve Jesus Christ. Now, he's been called to be a chaplain, and what a great honor that is to be able to serve in difficult times and with difficult people. To what exactly God is calling you to specifically, we have no idea, because none of us really do. It's a daily walk with Jesus Christ, and he leads us and guides us the whole way. And so, brother, I say keep going, stay close, stay clean. And so I've been given the opportunity to charge you tonight, the people here at Escatawpa Baptist Church. And so I do want to thank you, Brother Todd and Brother Robert, for this honor. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, it is the Apostle Paul who was writing to the church at Thessalonica, and he taught them many wonderful truths throughout that book. Paul wrote so much out of love for those churches that he sent his letters to, and you can just see it throughout them. But really it was in this letter he was calling them to think about the second coming of Jesus Christ. And when Christ would return, I can just hear the excitement in his voice. But as he gets to the end of this letter, he gives many practical, applicable, simple challenges and calls to help the church fully become who we were meant to be, the bride of Christ. He's given us something great to hold on to. And so in this, we're going to see a challenge to this church, which was Thessalonica a long time ago. Also to this church, which is Escatawpa Baptist Church, and really to all churches that would claim Jesus Christ. And it talks about how we, as churches, treat the ministers that are in our midst. So let's look at this tonight together. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, just 2 verses, 12 and 13. He says, "But we request of you, brethren, that you appreciate those who diligently labor among you, and have charge over you in the Lord, and give you instruction. And that you esteem them very highly in love because of their work. Live in peace with one another." Live in peace with one another. You know, Paul starts off that little section by calling them brethren. I love when the Apostle Paul uses that letter, because what he does, he gets to label who he's talking to. And so when he uses the word brethren, he's not talking out to the world. He's not talking to people outside. He's talking to us. He's talking to the beloved. He's talking to those who have believed in Jesus Christ, who have been called according to his purposes. Those who have truly followed after Jesus Christ wherever he takes us. So he's talking to us. He's talking to believers. And tonight he's talking to you, Escatawpa Baptist Church. And so he labels who he's talking to, and he gives them a charge. First of all, he says to appreciate those who diligently labor among you and have charge over you in the Lord, and give you instruction. And so what does that mean to appreciate Brother Robert Curtis? Or really any other person who is serving Christ alongside, who has leadership over you in Christ Jesus. You know, that word appreciate right there, I thought it was going to be a little different. As I was looking to it, I was like, man, this is going to be cool. I can talk about just like helping Brother Robert out, you know, just appreciate him. But the word really means to know. To know, to have full understanding of. And so we think of this practical application of this, it's just that. To know him as he is serving among you. To recognize him for who he is, a man called by God to serve among you, to appreciate that call and to recognize it, to know it. Because I want you to know that this is not a choice. It's not. It's a calling. I was talking to someone just the other day about call, and they asked me this question. They said, what does it feel like to be called to something? And I said, man, listen, I can't explain it any better than this, and I don't know if this is exact words, but it's as close as I can remember. I said, but when I wake up in the morning, and when I go to bed at night, regardless of what has happened today, regardless of how tragic or how joyous this day's been, regardless of how mean an older member of my congregation has been to me or another member of my church, regardless if a younger person has quit coming to church because of something that I've said, it doesn't matter. It's this that I'm called to because this is what I know I must do. When I wake up in the morning, I know that God has called me to be the pastor of Hurley Baptist Church. When I wake up, that is the thing that gets me going, especially on Monday mornings. It's a calling. It's not a choice. And I want you to know, church, if it was a choice, so many ministers would have quit long ago. But it's a calling that God has placed on their life to drive. This is what I was created for. And so as we think about that, this is what Brother Robert was created for. It's not based on external circumstances, but on internal conviction. This is the call. And it's in this place where all of us should be. God has given all of us a great call to go out and to make disciples of all nations in many different capacities. All of us have a great calling from God. But as we celebrate today, Brother Robert has a specific call to serve a specific way as a chaplain. So appreciate him, know him, and follow him as he is following Christ. Secondly, the church, those who are diligently serving among you, are to esteem them very highly in love because of their work. This means to hold Brother Robert in high regard or to honor him. We're to live this way for absolutely all people, but especially those who have been called by God to serve not only this church, but every church. So to esteem him highly in love is truly to acknowledge and to honor and to think highly of him and his work. It means to prize, to value, to regard him because of this great calling that has been placed in his life, to respect him and to esteem him and to love him. To let your hearts be tied together, to realize that God has called him to this, begin to appreciate, like I talked about a minute ago, to care about him and be concerned for him and his family. You see why the ministers that are serving you have a great calling for you. They do. They have a great calling in this church, they have a great calling in this community, but so do you too. And so hold them in high esteem. And so as Paul begins to talk, it's really boiled down into two things. He says it's appreciating him, knowing him for who he is, and esteeming him highly in love. And then lastly, the last little sentence. He says, live in peace with one another. There's no greater joy for a minister of Jesus Christ than to serve in a church or a ministry that is doing just that. There's no greater joy for a pastor to know that his church is living in peace with one another. There's no greater joy to be a member of a church that is serving and doing what God has called them to do, living in peace with one another. And so you might try to stop me and say, no, John, this is probably something different, right? That gives you greater joy if whatever you want to say. But I'm telling you, while it is a church who is living in peace with one another, who is serving as Christ has called them to, who is focused on the community right outside of our doors, but also the people who are overseas, the people who gather to worship Christ and to encourage one another constantly. There is no greater joy for a minister to come in to serve with a church who is doing what Christ has called them to do. It's because when a church does